projects that you would have said, as this sector, this is what we think local government needs to implement for us. So if you don't tell us what we need to implement for you, we are not going to avail money. There is no money that is sitting somewhere waiting for Bompendulele SRC. Hey, by the way, this is what we want. So money is allocated once in a financial year. So it must be spent. And for it to be spent, there needs to be a program. And for a program to be approved by council, it needs to come through the IDP. So it is important that you participate in the IDP. So through that process, then we have another process called community-based planning. Through the community-based planning is when residents themselves are saying to the city, we want these developmental programs to be done in our wards. Besides being students, you are residents. You don't, some of you would stay in your residential areas around the campus, but some of you stay in locations. You travel from home to school. So when you leave the school, okay, I'm actually remembering that at a particular point, I was a leader of the youth league, and this is what we used to say, that when you are in the location, you are part of the residents and the student struggles. You know, then when you come on campus, you become a student and you deal with the student-related struggles. So community-based planning says to you as a community member, not a student this time, what is it that you want to see the city contributing towards your ward being developed? So it's important to participate in the two processes, because once we are done consolidating the two processes, then we say, okay, these are youth-related developments, these are youth-related programs. How much do we have to allocate to these programs? So let's start with the basics. The basics is the two IDP and community-based planning programs that you guys need to participate in. It is noted that the city is vested within its communities, and we aspire in terms of service delivery to provide services that respond to the needs and requirements of the community. That is why I was saying there is no new money that is actually sitting somewhere that you guys will come to JD House and Pendula with your SRC and say, MMC, we want a building for residences and we will like it in Techelet. It's not there. So you need to be part of the planning so that by the time your needs are identified within the broader framework, then that allocation will be done. It is important for us to understand, you as students, you know that there are rules and regulations that we need to follow. So we are guided by the MFMA, which is the Municipal Finance Management Act. And it is saying to us, we spend money based on what has been approved by council. So it's important to understand that part. Through the GCRO, we did a quality of life study that tells us what are the pressure points, what are communities happy and not happy with, so that we are able to respond to those. So then we responding to a sustained urban life. We are anchored by 10 strategic priorities, and the group finance and ICT, for instance, are guided by the financial sustainability and good governance, including the smart city framework that we have in the city. Those priorities, Madam Speaker, are part of what we say. Through those, we are able to ensure that we create job opportunities, including youth-driven opportunities for our young nation. In fact, Joburg is a very young city. We are told that almost 60% of our residents are youth. And youth and you know, so by then we are naturally a young city. So our programs need to respond to those. So through our budget, Madam Speaker, we have a budget. Somebody, when I was appointed, somebody said to you, you are responsible for 73.3 billion. And I said to that person, I don't even know where it is. So don't ask me where it is, because it is an allocation. Some of you were invited by the Speaker to participate in the meeting when the now Mayor, who was the MMC for Finance, made the allocations. And I want to quote what he said, Madam Speaker, when he did his budget. Open quote, he said to all of us, including the Joburg residents, this statement says that all we need to keep in mind about the significance of youth in rebuilding and transforming Johannesburg into a thriving city. And he allocated indeed the 90 million over the medium term, which was going to provide for the budget on the youth development programs. We need to all collectively remember that the mean term is 3 years. So the 90 million was not allocated for 1 year. was allocated over the 3 years period. And we will, as we do budget reallocations, and we see that the departments that have been given the task of spending the money has spent, and we need to top up. We will do that at what we call the budget reallocation process. So the allocation was suitable to driving programs, and a youth directorate was then given birth to. And I know that the mayor right now is busy with the mayor's office, not him in particular, is busy with the recruitment and identifying people which are young that are going to be driving the programs, the young programs in the youth directorate. So we will announce once he is ready as to who has been appointed and who has not. So part of that is that the youth in tertiary institution are going to be participating in those processes of the youth directorate. You don't have to have your SRC as part of the stakeholders directly employed, but you are stakeholders of the youth directorate. So these issues that you always raise, I know I have about 3 or 4 emails about student accommodation, about buildings in the city that would come from some of, I get when you are in a space where there are many people, there's always people that see themselves as potential leaders. They might not necessarily be from the SRC Pendul, but they call themselves leaders and they are concerned about the amount and number of available student accommodation areas or buildings in the city. So that is coming up. So what we need to do through the youth directorate is identifying what is actually critical to the success of implementation of youth in tertiary institutions related programs. And that is where as stakeholders, the SRC need to be part of that process. So we have allocation. When the mayor allocated, he spoke about something called the Kissing Festival. I don't know what you guys were doing in the Kissing Festival. I can't remember youth and that. So I don't listen, I don't watch those things. But it is important that the money that we get is not given so that we implement programs that are going to create shame for all of us and dent the name of young people who are progressive, who want to see proper development for young people. So our allocation needs to respond to the real issues. So part of the programs will be engaging with the speaker and Pendula and the team. And the new, I know there's a new SRC, we want to congratulate them. So they must know that they are part of the stakeholders of the speaker's office and they participate there. Madam Speaker, as I take my leave, we are also launching, and I hope those of you who are aspiring accountants are going to listen and take keen interest in this one. The Academy for Chartered Accountants has a program that we are jointly doing with them. And we are going to train from tertiary institutions, qualified, still waiting behind the ear accountants. And we are going to give a number, we will announce. I said to the team, they must tighten up the number for me. And I said to them, I'm going to commit you at the VET meeting tonight that we are going to launch the Chartered Accountant Training Program. And we will give the number. Hopefully the mayor will make an announcement in the next 2 to 3 weeks as to what is the number. You guys must take up that offer because we are going to train and plot the trainees in all the city-stating entities to assist with the accounting standards in the entities, with the accounting units in the entities and in the city. We're not doing well in terms of responding towards the Auditor General's programs and issues that he's raising with us. So the program, as I said, is a 3-year program aiming to create a professional training opportunities for young people. Please take it up so that all of us are able to do that. Madam Speaker, I did speak and encourage us to vote, to register to vote. So I'm not going to bore you with that, but understand the importance of you registering so that you vote. I come from an NGO, so I'll come back and tell you who to vote when the time is right. But now, this weekend, register. Then we'll talk about politics after you've registered. Also, please let me encourage you to adhere to the COVID regulations. You know, let us keep on masking. Let's keep social distancing. Let's keep sanitizing. I addressed some meeting, Madam Speaker, that had old people. And I said to them, please vaccinate. And they said, no, you are not vaccinating. I have vaccinated. I did my 2 jabs. Please, all of us, let us vaccinate because this vaccination is not about me. It's about all of you. You know, so when we vaccinate, we're not just protecting and saving ourselves, but we are saving the country. And you are when we say the future is youth and female, we're talking about you. So for us to have that future that is young and female, please make sure that you protect yourself and you protect the other people that needs to elevate you as their future leaders. With those words, thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Wow, thank you very much, MMC. I nearly clapped the hands. Thank you very much. Uzoyithola kanjani? Uzoyithola kanjani? Yes, MMC is emphasizing on participating, that let us participate. This is participatory democracy. Let us participate. Here and here, she spoke of the 90 million that has been allocated for youth programs. Still, we have to participate, because if you are seated at the corner there, you are not going to know what is happening. But from MMC's input, it is clear that the city of Johannesburg cares about its young people. It really cares. So let us utilize the youth desk, which is representing young people in the city, and get to know what programs. So let us do oversight on these programs that MMC has spoken about. With that said, let me now go to our other panelist, Ms. Nhlonipho Nxumalo. Ms. Nhlonipho, apart from voting, what kinds of responsibilities do you think young people have in protecting and upholding this democracy and the democratic values and principles we have achieved? You did get the question? All right, thank you very much. Oh, God. Nobhala bayakwazi. Uyaziwa nobhala. Kusho ukuthi unobhala one-content.
Firstly, what we must take into cognizance is that whether or not you have interest in politics, they will take interest in you. And that was highlighted, especially, firstly, during the pandemic. We saw how important government is. We even saw also during the pre-Zuma movement or moment that whether you take interest, whether or not you take interest, they will take interest in you. So we have different, like we have a heterogeneous landscape of young people. We have graduates, we have unemployed people. It's different. But what unites us is one mission. Firstly, the previous generation fought for democracy. And we must then take democracy, use it to achieve our mission. And as young people, our mission is free economic freedom. It's economic freedom in our lifetime. So we need to participate in these things, in voting, in local government elections, in order to achieve that. Because, for example, if I'm at Braamfontein, there are two people that are contesting to be ward councillors. And then the other one is coming to say, I will increase barring this thing of old people, the grant, saying I will increase the grant. You understand? And then we have a candidate that says, I will make sure that there's safety in Braamfontein. I will make sure during after hours, because we know students study during after hours. A councillor will say, I want to use this space to have buildings for rest accommodation. You must make, as a young person, you must make an informed vote, not just vote. You must vote with someone who will speak to your issues. And yeah, you must vote for someone who will speak to your issues. And it's very important for people who are contesting to be candidates of councillors to come back to us and tell us, ask us, what are the issues? And then their manifestos must be based on what we say. You can't just go and sleep and come back with a manifesto that will address our issues when you haven't came to us to speak to us, ask us, what are your issues? You understand? So in me saying that is that we must actively participate in elections, because whether we like it or not, these things, elections, if you vote, it's going to determine the next 5 years of your time. So you can't just say, I'm not going to vote, or I don't really care what's going on. You have to actively participate, because it's going to affect 5 years of your time. Yeah, as I learned, I would like to say, young people, it's very important for us to participate, because if we want to have economic freedom, we must be active, be involved in these policies that drive. I'm glad that we have the $90 million allocated to young people. And I think as the city of Johannesburg, it's important that they accommodate young people more, because we know that we have more, more institutions of higher learning here. We have TVETs, we have universities, many universities here. So the city of Johannesburg must largely also speak to the issues of young people, as much as someone who wants to contest the Braamfontein ward must speak to issues of students mostly. Thank you for now.
Wow. Oh, yes, yes. Let's give a round of applause. Yeah. Yeah, Nopala has spoken. Once again, Nopala is emphasizing on participation. Let us participate. Nopala is also saying, with that said, let's hear Ms. Mandisa Nyilika. Kindly unpack, how do you encourage young people to vote in the work that you do as active leadership? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I feel like our role as student leaders is very important, because you have access to a lot of young people. So as student leaders, you need to remember that, well, I would say that the university space is basically a microcosm of what society ought to look like. So as student leaders, we need to take those solutions that we come up with in that microcosm, and we need to go out there and implement them. We need to start off by remembering that students are not just students, but they are also members of the community. So we always need to remind them that, okay, life is not just about the university space, SRC elections, school council elections. There's other sorts of governance and other structures that affect students. So we need to encourage students to participate in policy making. Policy making that affects students is not just policy making that's here in the university. Policy making that's also implemented by the city. I mean, the city could decide tomorrow to take away the bus. That's a policy that affects students. So if students are oblivious to such issues, they miss out on things that affect them. So it's very important for us to breed a culture where we encourage our students to participate in the greater community and not just here at Wits University. So as student leaders, we have a very huge role to play in actually breeding future leaders and breeding future active community members. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, TSG. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Again, let us participate. Let us swiftly move to Roshni. Roshni is online. Roshni, what should government be doing more of in order to galvanize or encourage young people to participate in the voting process, or to broaden it to participate in the democratic process? I think the secretary, SG, did indicate that in most instances, students say, it's not my business, I don't care. So what? So just unpack on why is it important that young people do participate in the democratic process.
Greeting to the House at large, Madam Speaker, esteemed guests, and my fellow panelists. I just want to make sure that I'm being heard.
We hear you.
Thank-
You are being heard.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Loudest.
At first, I would like to note that the youth are agents of change within our democracy. And before I further unpack the speaker, I would just like to note that the question is asking what should government do to broaden voter education? But I would like to say that stakeholder accountability is extremely crucial, Madam Speaker. There is accountability on the side of the youth as well to engage in certain programs and to go above and beyond their means to find out about certain things happening within the city. It is also duly noted that without that stakeholder participation from the youth, the government therefore then falls short on knowing which direction to take and where the pressure points are. The youth are more inclined to participate in informal processes, more than formal political and electoral ones. And we see this in activism, protest campaigns, and these are common avenues that youth are often driving forces behind reform movements, such as the Fees Must Fall movement. But that does not go beyond formal, it doesn't go beyond informal platforms. Therefore, the youth need to participate more in formal platforms as to influence policy, and that their pressure points are then noted. So to answer the question, I will then say there is a need for urgency within governments and the government's approach. There needs to be a tackling of youth unemployment and social exclusion, as these require bold strategies and decisive action, because it is noted within various studies that social economic livelihood is far more important than democratic rights. And that has been noted in various studies where the youth is not inclined to vote if they feel like their socioeconomic needs are not being met. I will therefore also add that there needs to be continuous and fruitful participation and not just a skewed approach by the government, such as a dialogue that is happening this evening, Madam Speaker, where the youth are already at a point where they are fed up or don't have enough faith in our democracy. Therefore, it's a very skewed approach. It needs to be continuous and fruitful and happen on an often basis, not just around election time. There needs to be ongoing consultations. The right questions need to be asked. It also then needs to be noted that there are structural issues when it comes to the educating of the youth on voter education. We need to go within spaces such as high schools. And I'm fortunate enough that I work with Johannesburg Student Council, and that is one program where the youth, particularly high school students, are encouraged to participate in civic education, are encouraged to participate within youth programs within the city of Johannesburg. Therefore, I feel political participation cannot only be reduced to casting a vote alone. Beyond having dialogues, there needs to be structural implementations where there are grassroots programs that are accessible to everyone on a large basis. We are within this seating today and we're discussing voter education, particularly within the youth, but it is limited in terms of access. So I therefore feel the government needs to look at more grassroots level approaches as to address voter education and civic education. Therefore, we know all bases are covered. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Roshni, if it's possible, you could show your face just for all of us to see your face. Just switch on your camera and for us to see you. But I must say that your bandwidth was very powerful, maybe because you had switched off your video.
I'm sorry, I'm within the comfort of my home.
Hello, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Roshni. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the common denominator here is participation. That's the common denominator. And Roshni speaks of government addressing issue at a grassroots level, making sure that all these programs are implemented. But participation. We need young people. Mandisa said young people are also members of the society. So let us work together with our society in making sure that things are happening. So we normally take questions and comments from our viewers online. So today we are going to divide the questions and comments into two. We are going to take those online and also take few questions here in the auditorium, and let our panelists respond to questions as they do their parting shot. So maybe let us start online. Let us hear what our viewers online are saying. I am told that the audio is very poor online. They are battling to hear us. That's why Josie FM had to quit, because the sound is very poor on their side. But Roshni had us. I don't know how did it happen. Yeah, okay. But let us let's hear.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given. So we do have few questions which have been asked. First question, what method does South Africa use during voting? That's the first one. The second question, which has been asked, why is it important for citizens to vote? Third question, what happens if you don't vote? Oh, sorry. What is the political empathy in government? Other question, why is it important for citizens to participate in elections? How can you encourage youth to participate? Because there's a less number of youth participating in local government elections. Due to that, they are not being inspired or motivated. That is asked by that has been asked by Uspelele. The second one asked by Usimpiwe. How can we engage young people in communities because government is not reaching out? Thirdly, by Uprenda, how can, based on the 90 budget which has been set by government, how can, what programs are being set, and how can they assist during the local government elections? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm sure our panelists have noted those questions. So let us also go. I see there's Nomveliso Mpongo who has raised a hand. Nomveliso, can you briefly ask your question or your comment? Unmute. Unmute, Nomveliso. All right, let's get hands from the house, from the auditorium. Okay. All right, I'm gonna take two hands here. One. Yo, there are many hands. Huh? Well, let me take two per row. Yeah. Can I take two per row? If you have a question or that, you can just write your question and give it to the person that is given an opportunity to speak. All right. Okay. Number one here. And no, note you are number one. And then can I note number two at the corner? Yourself with the black t-shirt. Yes, that's two. So please, ladies and gentlemen, write your comments and give it to the two gentlemen I have noted. So this side, can I also get ladies as well? I only see gentlemen raising hands. Okay, good. There's a lady at the corner there. You are number one on this row. Number two here. Okay, you are number two. The gentleman with the glasses. You are number two. Uban. I can't see you. Say the one. All right, this side. Any questions this side or comments? You are sorted. Okay. All right. Maybe we can take one more here because this side is not speaking. Let me take you, with your black mask. You are the last one. Okay, number one, kickstart.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Sihlengusa. the councillor candidates of the African National Congress in this specific quad. Mine,
In fact, this is your candidate. All those issues that you said the ward councillor coming, SD, of the ward must deal with right here. So you must have met him. His manifesto must talk to your issue.
All right, Nguse, you said you are Nguse, ne?
yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes, Madam Speaker. Look, we are very delighted that we are, the city has convened such sessions to make sure that we encourage young people to participate. Politics may directly or indirectly affect you, but what is most important on our side, as one indicated, that it is not a question, but it is a comment. One of the critical things, Madam Speaker, that will be continuously coming to your office to raise, it is the issue of housing, where we must utilize the loophole that is there to expropriate buildings that are in the hands of individuals who are not paying services for municipality. We'll be exploiting that opportunity, working with students who did LLB, who are experts maybe in property law. We need a loophole because a city is losing a lot of money, and then we cannot address operational related matters. We are also going to make sure that we rezone the Braamfontein. It is our view that Braamfontein is a student hub and it must be rezoned. We must move with times. We need it drawn. We cannot speak about for IR, but we do not have it drawn as world-class African city as we are alleging. Those are the issues that will be championing. We will also create a competition in Braamfontein in terms of student accommodation. We know that we have players that have monopolized the Braamfontein. There's no competition, but we're going to make sure that private sector participation, and with a very clear agenda of transformation. It is our view that we cannot have students who graduate and go back to rural areas when they were studying at VETS. They must come back and assist the society to advance and realize the economic transformation in our lifetime. Those are the few things that I wanted to convey to students, that we together we can, and we are pleading as the African National Congress that we are requesting your support. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nguse. I guess this was the best opportunity for you. Ne? All right. And number 2 is at the corner.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Cebolenko Samuel Kumalo.
Samuel from the Bible.
Yeah, so SASCO teaches us that we're members of community before we come into these spaces that we exist in now. And a burning issue, I think the Secretary General of Wits University, Nhlonipho Nxumalo, did speak about it. And we saw it during the Zuma protest when a majority of young people who are becoming unemployed, and they're still becoming unemployed. And now we must go out and say to our age mates, our brothers and sisters, that go and vote, register to vote for this beloved movement we love so much, when they are not working, when everything seems to be getting worse. So I want to understand from perhaps maybe the panel or directly you, Chairperson, as to of the session, as to how do we then tackle such issues? Because also we can go out and encourage people, but it's getting to us now. We are worried about the country. Where is the country going in the next coming 10 years? Yes, we want to win elections, but we are worried about that. How do we tackle such issues? And then I don't know if should I also continue reading the question that my other colleagues wrote, or should I give an opportunity to others, then you'll come back
Yes,
to me?
please do. Remember, we said your colleagues should write questions to yourselves. Depending on how many questions. I see a flood of questions there.
Okay, yeah, so the first one is from Siyabonga. Yeah, Comrade Sia is a leadership of Panato House. So Siyabonga is asking, so I'm gonna read. As a community member based on communism, or on community service, you speak of I don't know. I think Sia must be given an opportunity to articulate, because he wrote in the either third person here and it's a mix. So if I'm reading it, it won't make sense. So I think he must actually articulate.
Okay, let us pass. We'll see if time allows. We'll come back to Bosia.
Okay.
If time allows, yeah.
Thank
Let's
you.
go to the lady at the back.
Malibongwe. Igama lamakhosikazi. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given. I'm one person that wants to move the society forward at whatever cost and means, and no one must be left behind. Now, we are having this conversation and this discussions and dialogues as students, as vice students, which is very much important because there's constituency here. But my question arises from the fact that every day I go to Pick and Pay, there's Mfethu, they're asking me to buy bread and milk for them. My question is, what are we doing? Are we also having the same discussions that we are having with the Mfethu, or we are not seeing them as members of the society? And also, if we are seeing them as members of the society, what is it that is being done by them? I'm glad that there are also funds that are spoken about in this midst. And I would like to find out as well if there's any program that relates to speaking to their issues, because at the same time, Braamfontein is not safe because of them. We can't even go out with our cell phones because anytime it can be grabbed from our hands. So my question is, where are we leaving Abomfuet in this whole discussion of elections? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, the last.
Amanda, yeah, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm very honored to have you here. You know, it's a privilege, in fact, to have you in the panel and have a conversation, right? And I will speak, I will start by posing the question to you, right? I'm lobbied by your view that young people must lead, they must get into spaces, right? And I agree with that. But the question that I have, the first question is to say, yes, we must be guided by our parents. We must be told where we are wrong, where we are going right. But we must also be given the liberty to also express and operate how we see it fit according to the status quo that we live in. Would you agree that as activists, and I believe most of us in here are activists, we should be given the liberty to decide on what we want and where we want to go as the society and as the youth? Would you agree on that? The second question that I want to pose is on the president. The DSG mentioned that we're the microcosm of the society.